May I proceed, Your Honor?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Defense just came up here and told you he's not going to show you any gross pictures. He's not going to do any of that stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, these pictures that we're looking at, that the defense calls gross, are the result of what his client did that day. These are the results of what Billy Delgado did to Erica Torres as she drove up, innocently unsuspecting of the assault that she was about to suffer. I'm sorry that he thinks this is gross, but this is Erica's life now because of what the defendant did. Now, he said his client's been through torment, that he's been through a lot. What has Erica been through? Billy Delgado's a healthy young man. He can walk, he can talk, he can jump, he can run. Erica fought for her life. She has bullet holes to remember every single shot she received from him. And then he told you they brought words. That the state only brought words, that we didn't bring evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, we brought a mountain of evidence. We brought a confession. He even told you on the stand, I did it. He confessed to every single element of the offense. And I want to bring your attention, if you could all grab your jury charge, please, and let's turn to page 5. If you look at that top line, it says, under the justification, because this is what they're arguing. He's saying that they have a justification. If you look at that top line, under the circumstances, as the actor reasonably believes them to be, and pay attention to that word, reasonably believes, the actor would be justified in using force to protect himself against the unlawful force he reasonably believes to be threatening the third person he seeks to protect. Now, reasonably believes. To reasonably believe, you must be able to use what? Reason. You must be able to reason with what you're doing. Yet, when he took the stand, and I asked him about shooting Erica, I blacked out. When I asked him about shooting her multiple times, do you remember? I don't remember. I can't remember. He conveniently blacked out. He conveniently doesn't remember. He remembers being in the apartment, and then he remembers the cops showing up. So where was he able to formulate this supposed reasonably believe? Where was he able to use his reason when he's conveniently blacking out throughout this entire process that he can't recall? Ladies and gentlemen, it's an excuse. This is a lie. Another lie by the defendant. Just another excuse to justify his actions of what he did to Erica that day. Just the same way he made up the lie about this supposed sexual assault against his daughter by Uncle Louis. The only person that's ever cried wolf about that is the defendant. He's the only person, because Emmy's never told anybody else. She's never told anybody else about it. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that you see reasonably believes, you need to prove and, because that's the next word. The next word means that reasonably believes to be threatening the third person he seeks to protect, and. So you need to do both. You need both for the justification of defense of third person. So, and the actor reasonably believes, so again, he's got to use reason, but apparently he was blacked out through this entire process. Blacked out because he couldn't recall what he did. He couldn't remember thinking about what to do or how he did it because he was blacked out. The actor reasonably believes that his intervention is immediately, at that point in time, immediately necessary to protect the third person. The third person, Emmy, who's in the apartment upstairs, that he left Emmy with his roommate. You saw Estrada take the stand. She said Billy dropped off some toys and he told Emmy to play and for me to watch her, that he was going to go talk to Erica. There's no immediacy. Where's the immediate danger? There's no Uncle Louie, the supposed cry wolf that's outside waving, "I'm here, Billy, I'm here." He called Erica over to the house. He told her, "Get here now, come pick up Emmy, I can't do this no more." Why lure her there? If you're gonna do the right thing, call LPD. Do what a normal person would do. Call the police or say, "Hey, Erica, look, I'm not gonna give Emmy back. We need to figure out what to do about this, okay? I'm gonna keep her. I'm gonna keep her with me. I'll give her back to you after we talk to the police." There was no immediacy, ladies and gentlemen. There was no immediacy. So this doesn't apply. And then even then, when the issue of the application, if you turn to page 6, please. When the issue of the application of defense of a third person is raised, the burden of persuasion is on the prosecution to disprove the justification beyond a reasonable doubt. And defense told you we can't disprove that we can't disprove that beyond a reasonable doubt. Ladies and gentlemen, it's like I told you in voir dire. This is common sense. We use common sense every day. Every day. You heard the defendant. I blacked out. I blacked out. I blacked out. There is no evidence for his reasonableness. There's no immediacy. Again, just another excuse. So let's talk about what this case is really about. Like I said, defense would have you believe that Billy did this because he was triggered by what happened to his daughter. Well then why Erica? Why shoot Erica? She didn't do this. If you were triggered by this, she's not the one who abused Emmy. If this is supposed incident that happened pushed you over the limit, she's the wrong person. Why not take the proper measures like I just told you? Call the police. He bragged about his family being in law enforcement, how his grandmother was the captain of police. If that's the case, then you know police will do a good job, right? You know they'll do their job if you just call and take the proper measures like a normal person. Two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs don't make a right, ladies and gentlemen. He doesn't get to take justice and be the judge in this case. What he did is not justified by any circumstance. What he did to the mother of his child. And that case was closed. There was no evidence. There was no outcry. The child was interviewed by a trained professional in a controlled environment, in a comfortable situation where there was no time limit. And Investigator Vaquera told you, the child never outcried to any abuse. They gave her a doll to even say, you know, has anyone ever touched you in any of these places? She never outcried. They gave her an anatomical drawing where it shows the outline of the human body. And they ask, do you know your private parts? You know, are these areas that no one's supposed to touch you, right? And has anyone ever touched you here? She never outcried after all the opportunities that she had. So of course the case was closed, because that was just an excuse, a lie that the defendant made up to shoot and to try to kill Erica Torres that day. Defense would have you believe that Billy is a victim of violence. He's a victim of violence based off a 2-minute and 30-second video. A self-serving video. I'll have you at that. Ladies and gentlemen, if I go home to my wife, I know all the buttons to press. I know what to do to upset her. And if at that point in time, after I've riled her up, and I say, leave me alone, hold on. Let me put it in selfie mode real quick. Okay. Stop, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. That was a self-serving video. We didn't see the circumstances leading up to that. Erica told you herself. She took ownership. She said, I needed to get to San Antonio. Well, why didn't you get off? He was driving on the highway. I couldn't get off. Well, why didn't you try exiting the vehicle? It was moving. My kids were in the back. And why were you so concerned? Because if I missed court, I would get arrested. And I would stay in custody until I had court. And I didn't want a warrant out for my arrest. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, she was upset. She was upset because she was being held against her will when the defendant had told her that he would take her to court in San Antonio. But in the video, you hear him say, we were late. We weren't going to make it anyways. She still made it that day, even after getting dropped off, or she didn't get dropped off. She jumped out of the car while it was in between two trailers and walked to the truck stop, waiting for her mom to pick her up. And you saw in the video the defense like, no, please, yeah, I'm tired of this. And what does he do? He looks down to make sure that he's showing his face. Y'all saw him. He looked down. And then, we're going to crash. We're going to crash. What does he do? Afterwards, he pulls up the phone. He's like, all right, let me take it off selfie mode. Let me close it. Yes, he was very concerned about crashing while trying to record a video after he was starting a fight, after he was fighting with Ms. Torres, and she was upset because she didn't want to get arrested. I don't blame her. I don't blame her for not wanting to get arrested. Nobody wants to get arrested. And meanwhile, being held against her will, right? Because she couldn't get out of the moving vehicle. Defense would have you believe that Billy did this because he thought he needed to protect his daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, we already talked about this. There was no immediacy. There was no threat. Emmy was upstairs, locked, or not locked, but in a room with the door closed. I'll have you, because Erica Estrada texts, she said on the stand that the door was closed while she was in the room with Emmy. The front door to the apartment was closed, and Billy Delgado walked outside, apparently conveniently to his benefit. He was blacked out, but he told you, I always carry my gun. I always have my gun. It's small enough for me to carry it. I'm not a convicted felon. I can carry a gun. Ladies and gentlemen, where's the immediacy? Erica didn't rev her engine and pull up. No, she's just pulling up nice and slow, ready to pick up Emmy. And what does she hear? Bang, 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 bang. Yes, Mr. Delgado felt threatened. Ladies and gentlemen, common sense. And most importantly, he called Erica to come over. That's what you need to go back to every single time. He called her there. It wasn't her day. It wasn't her time to pick up Emmy. Emmy was supposed to get picked up on Sunday. It was his visitation. But the defendant lured her there. Why? Because he wanted to ambush her. He wanted to attack her and knew that she wouldn't stand a chance, that she wouldn't suspect it. He wanted to kill her. Like I told you, this case is about choices and consequences. We all have free will to make choices. You heard Sharon Estrada. Billy was making pancakes that morning. He looked at peace. He looked at peace. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're upset and if Emmy told him this the night before, why not call PD that night? Why not call Erica that night? The moment you just got told that when he claims that his daughter, she jumped in my arms and she was crying. Get the phone. It's not like LPD only works 8 to 5. Call her mother. Let her know. I called the police. I just got told this. No, ladies and gentlemen, because that didn't happen. Erica testified. Billy called her to come over to his apartment to immediately pick up their daughter. He told her, get here now. She told you she was at a friend's house. She dropped what she was doing because she said, Billy told her, get here now. Come pick up Emmy. There was no immediacy. Billy created this situation. He created the situation he wanted. He made a plan to execute Erica Torres. What did Dr. Medeiros tell you? When we asked him about serious bodily injury, all the different definitions, he said, she did everything but die. So we met serious bodily injury. She lost her blood volume. She will have difficulties for the rest of her life, and she will need to be monitored because she will never have a normal life ever again. But at least she can walk normally, or look like she walks normally. Use your common sense, ladies and gentlemen. We brought you the pieces of the puzzle. Remember? I said we were going to bring you the pieces of the puzzle, and it may not be a complete puzzle, but you'll be able to make it out. We brought you the videos, the shooting. We brought you the interview. Look at that video. There's no remorse. He looked like nothing. You know, instead of saying, how's Erica? Is Erica okay? Is Erica okay? Instead, he's like, look at my rap sheet. Look at her rap sheet. I don't got nothing. She's been arrested. In his eyes, he thinks of her as less than dirt. Look at the way he treated her that day, the mother of his child. He had the opportunity. Billy Delgado called Erica and ambushed her that day. So we've brought you the videos. We've brought you the opportunity that he had. We've shown it to you. The weapon and the casings, all 10 casings. We didn't just bring you the casings. We brought you all of them, all 10 opportunities he had to kill her. The confession. He told you he did it. He told you here to your face that he did it. Not only did he see that, he said, I did it. I shot the mother of my child. I'll deal with the consequences. He told you on the video when he was arrested, and he told you here in court on the stand. You saw her serious bodily injury with Dr. Medeiros. And they were still married the date of the assault and share a child. So we've proven our case. We've proven that on or about June 1st, 2024, in Webb County, Texas, the defendant, Billy Delgado, intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly caused serious bodily injury. Remember, I told you in voir dire, intentionally, go up to someone directly, point a gun at them, right in front of them, boom. That's intentionally. Knowingly, you see a group of people together, you shoot, you know you're going to hit them if you're aiming at the crowd and they're all jam-packed together. And I said recklessly. When I explained recklessly was that you can appreciate the standard, but you do a gross deviation from it, regardless of the outcome of your actions, right? So even if you think that Billy Delgado says, well, I was just shooting at the car, I wasn't shooting at her. You shoot at a car with somebody in it, you're disregarding the fact that they could get hit. You're disregarding the fact that they could die. You're disregarding the fact that they could get seriously injured. And he did all of those. He intentionally shot at the car. He knew she was going to get shot. And he disregarded that fact when he recklessly shot at her in the car. So all of those three intentional elements are met. And used or exhibited a deadly weapon. A firearm, automatically a deadly weapon. And he also admitted to you, yes, I used a deadly weapon on the stand. During the commission of the assault, namely a firearm and or a G3C 9mm Torres. This is what he used that day, ladies and gentlemen. Not only what he used in the firearm that he was carrying, this is the one that he likes to carry, right? Has he told you that he always carries a gun? But he was also accompanied by its two buddies, 2 loaded magazines. Ladies and gentlemen, he had one intent that day. It wasn't to talk to Erica. He wanted to kill her. He wanted to hurt her. He wanted to remove Erica from Emmy's life for his own personal, selfish motives. And like I said, we've satisfied the family dating relationship. You've heard about their entire relationship, right? You know the truth. Remember in voir dire, I told you, can we know exactly 100% exactly what happened that day? No, right, I told you? Because the only way you know is if you were there, if you saw it. Ladies and gentlemen, not only did we show you the acts of Billy Delgado that day, we brought the crime to you. You saw it with your own eyes. You all saw the actions, the lack of remorse. At no point was there any hesitation. And you'll see the video, play it as many times as you want. She pulls up, and without hesitation, he points his firearm and just starts unloading, one after the other. He's not moving. And I know that there was some argument by defense, well, if he wanted to kill her, he could have killed her. Ladies and gentlemen, if this is the car, he was right there in front of it. He was trying his best to aim. He had a mission that day. But what do we have? We have Billy Delgado, still hiding behind his excuses. I blacked out, or I did it for my daughter. Which one is it? You can't have both. You can't have both, ladies and gentlemen. I did it for my daughter to protect her. Okay, well, then you did it? Well, no, I blacked out. Those are completely contradicting statements. That doesn't make sense at all. You did it because you wanted to protect your daughter, but you don't remember doing it because you blacked out? You know why that doesn't make sense? Because it's a lie. It's an excuse for his actions. His own mom told LPD. She testified. She didn't believe Billy. She doubted him. She told LPD, there's no way. She told you on the stand. Yes, I said, there's no way this could have happened to Emmy. She would have told me. Emmy's a talkative child. Well, if she's a talkative child, of course she would have told her. She would have picked up on it. She even told you, yes, I check her underwear when she comes from her mother's. Ladies and gentlemen, she said that on the stand. Your own mom doesn't even believe you. And she tried to stop him. You heard her, that she was talking to him right before he did it. Was he blacked out? Or was he using reason when he talked to his mom? Because he told her, watch this, and then he put his phone in his pocket and boom, 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 boom. But he was blacked out, like he told me, right? He was blacked out. No, ladies and gentlemen. He was trying to execute his own motives. He had an agenda. He had a plan to lure Erica there and execute her. Sharon Estrada, she talked about the box of toys. But I want to talk to you about how, did you hear how she said it? She said it on her own. He looked calm. He looked at peace that morning. If he was so triggered, if he was so bothered by what he heard the night before, how are you going to be in the morning looking calm and at peace? I would be ringing the phones. I'd be ringing the bell. I'd be at LPD banging on the door saying, open up, we're going to talk about this. And I'd be there with my daughter saying, something happened. Remember in Fort Dyer when we discussed unhealthy relationships? I talked to you all about unhealthy relationships, and we discussed how, yes, maybe we or people we know are involved in unhealthy or toxic relationships. And I asked you all, I said, if someone chose to stay or if they were part of an unhealthy relationship and they suffered abuse, is that abuse justified? And you all took an oath and you all said, no. Just because somebody is part of an abusive relationship or they were part of an abusive relationship, that doesn't mean that their abuse should go unpunished, that it should be allowed. You all said that and you all agreed. And that's why we're here, to hold Billy Delgado to his actions. It is time for him to face his consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, Erica Torres, she fought for her life. She fought for her life to be here to tell you her story. All 363 days, she fought for her life so that she could have her day in court. And she could come and she could take this stand and tell you about the pain, the suffering, and the actions that Mr. Delgado caused to her. Multiple individuals testified. They said that they believed she was going to die. Officer Luis Castillo, off duty, told you, I was pretty sure she was going to die in front of me. Dr. Madero said, if she did not receive medical help, she was going to die. Erica told you, I was trying to get to the hospital. I didn't want to die. Kayla told you, Kayla de la Cruz, she told you she needed to get to the hospital. She was going to die. And let me remind you about something. Erica Torres is not on trial. This is called the State of Texas versus Billy Delgado. That's what this case is called. The victim is not on trial here. She is not on trial. Why? Because she is the victim in this case. And we are here for the actions of Billy Delgado, for what he did, for what the defendant did, for what that man sitting over there did to her. That is why we're here. We're not here for the State of Texas against Erica. And she took the stand. And yes, like my co-counsel told you, we heard their dirty laundry. But you know what? I'll tell you something that she did. She owns it. She takes it. She takes accountability for what she did. She was on probation for what she did. She takes accountability for her actions. But you know who doesn't? The defendant. Because lie after excuse after excuse, his actions he still believes were justified. No, ladies and gentlemen. You heard when I asked his tia, his aunt, I said, nobody deserves to get shot, right, 10 times? Yes, I asked her, no woman deserves to be shot 10 times? And she agreed. Nobody deserves that. Nobody. Billy Delgado made his choices, and now it's time for him to face the consequences. So, when I'm done here, you'll go to the back. You're going to turn to the verdict form, and it says, we, the jury, find the defendant, Billy Delgado, guilty of aggravated assault, causes serious bodily injury with a deadly weapon to a family member, felony of the first degree. And you will sign right there, under guilty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.